Hey, look over here. I'm a pickle. I'm Pickle Rick, and welcome to my stream. In the last stream, we put together a big ass dual ring space station. Where I am so far, this is a stock career mode. I've got the base completely built out now. And in the last episode, I kind of went over an overview of what I've got set up. I've got a space station, and all but two biomes in Midness have been landed on. And I've got a modified, updated station also orbiting Moon, so I'm ready to start doing Moon landings. But before I can jump into that, I got this contract to put together a space station around Kerbin, and since I don't plan on doing a lot of well, it doesn't really matter. I thought instead of doing the space station like I did over Moon and Midmas, I'd put together a dual ring station with rotating, counter-rotating rings. And so in the last episode, I went through and put that all together. And so in this episode, I'm going to get it into orbit. Now, there were two parts to it. There was the station itself, and then there was a power module. And I fiddled around a little bit after the stream and trying to put a ship together to get that entire thing into orbit was really, it wasn't really that practical. So what I did is I split it apart. I've got the power module that we're going to send up in one mission, and the station itself we're going to send up in the first mission. So the idea is to get the major part of the station up to about an 80-kilometer orbit, and then we'll bring the power module up afterwards. So I'm just gonna bring up the fully stacked space station. So here's the station that we built in the last episode. There's a couple of modifications. The first thing I did is I put, you'll notice, 8-way symmetry all around either side of the rings. I've got these struts, 8 struts, and they're connected to decouplers. So we're going to blow those all off. There's all these decouplers up here, and did the same thing there. And that's so it's just more stable as I try to get it to orbit. But other than that, this is pretty much the same. I think I added one more monopropellant tank from the last episode. And then I put this together. This ship here is to get it into orbit. And it's basically made up of the Mammoth engines, 3 Mammoth engines. These are all 2.5 meter parts. And I have 3.75 meter parts, and I was going to do it with that. Actually, are these actually might be 3.75. Hold on. I get confused because I also have 5 meter parts. So this is an S3. That's an S4. These are 3.75 meter parts. I'm sorry. So this is all 3.75 meter parts. And you can see here, the whole objective is to get this into an 88-kilometer orbit. And I've got 4,212 delta V. That should be enough to get me up there. It's quite a bit more than 3,400, which is typically what you need to get to orbit. But I'm going to have to take this up pretty much straight and then make a crowbar turn at the top of the orbit. If I try to turn this in the thicker atmosphere, it's going to shake itself apart, so I have to just be ginger. So let's try to get this to orbit. It might take more than one try. I've actually practiced a couple of times, but this is still a big beast to get into orbit. And the main issue is these rings are very fragile. If they start to oscillate, it's just going to tear itself apart, and there's not much I can do about it. You just have to try again. So with that, let's get out to the launch pad and put this thing in orbit. Once again, you can see all of the assembly, and I put this together uncut. So the video is the process of assembling it, warts and all. So every time if I had errors or I couldn't figure something out, you see in the video how I resolve it. So I could make these videos where, oh, the thing just goes together in 20 minutes and it looks great and it works completely. And then you don't see the hour behind the scenes that I spent trying to fix bugs and work out issues. So I keep those in that video so that, you know, if you can stick it out through the whole video, you'll see all of the problems that you can potentially run into and how I resolved them. Particularly getting the rings to rotate was really odd. There's something called torque now that I didn't know about in the past. Or I don't recall having to deal with it the last time I did a ring station. It took me a long time to figure out how to get the rings to rotate. So anyway, with that, let's see, who are we taking up with us? We got a pilot, we got a scientist, and another scientist, and that's good because we need 2 scientists to man the one of the mobile processing labs. So here we go. Turn on the lights, turn on SAS, full throttle V, 3, 2, 1, to space. Okay, once I pass 25 meters per second, I'll do my roll program. Now typically once I hit 1,000 meters or 100 meters per second, I would start the pitch over maneuver. But because of this fragile nature of these rigs up here, I'm going to wait until this, right where the powder blue meets the medium blue is right in the area of max Q. I'm going to actually go straight up until I'm through this area. And I'm actually going to be a good way through the medium area before I seriously start pitching over. I'm going to throttle back because I don't want to go past too much past 250 knots as I'm going through this area of high max Q. Throttling back. So far so good, no wobbling. Start throttling back up now. Start slowly pitching over. To 20K. Normally I would be at 45 degrees at this point, or close to it, so you can see how far I'm. Uh-oh. I wasn't paying attention and I went off. Can I get it back? Get it back. Nope, we're gonna need another launch. That was going very well. Revert to launch. That was going very well. I was talking and I wasn't paying attention. I cannot go far off the prograde marker until I'm well above 40K. That's okay. We'll get it. This time we'll get it. I could have built this with 5-meter parts and it would be a lot easier, but I wanted to try to keep it down to something reasonable. So, okay, let's try it again. It's full throttle. 3, 2, 1, to space. Okay. Something that's 25 meters per second. I can start my roll. Roll complete. Once again, straight up. We're not going to bother trying to pitch over until we're well through this medium blue region. throttle back when we get up to 200 meters per second to try to stay below 250 while we're getting through this region of high max Q. Okay. Stay back there until we're well through this region. I'm going to keep it going straight up. This is where I lost it last time. I started to turn it too soon, getting impatient. I think filming or recording makes me a little nervous. Okay, throttling back up. Definitely starting to pitch. I don't want to get in front. I want to stay. My bearing, I want to keep the center of my bearing indicator inside of the prograde marker. Come on. I need that prograde marker to follow me down. Now, my core stage, you'll notice, has got 2 additional engines inside of it. It was below 1-to-1 thrust ratio. So I added 2 radial engines down here to get it over 1-to-1. Now I'm going to start pitching over. I'm high enough now that I can safely start to pitch over. I can actually get ahead of the prorate marker a little bit. And we want to stay about a minute behind the apoapsis, which we're coming up on right now. So I can come back on the throttle a little bit. Make sure that still keeps going up. Okay, I need to come over a lot faster than I am. That's what I mean by a crowbar turn. We're basically going straight up and then wrenching the whole thing over. Okay, it's still going up, so I'm going to take a little more throttle out. Looking at my apoapsis up here, you can also look at it down here. Apoapsis and time to apoapsis. Okay, keep bringing it over. Way behind where I should be. So we're gonna hopefully, you want to be at least 1500 meters per second when you're at your final altitude. Okay, and you notice that my time to apoapsis is coming down, so I'm gonna go all the way up to full throttle. Let's stay right in here. See, it's coming down. If you want it to go up, you have to pitch upward. So now it's climbing again. Pitch over some more. We might end up going up to 100 kilometers because I can see right now we're really low. But we'll see how it goes. I like the fact that it's declining again. Let's go back up again. Go for broke here. We're going to bring it down. Right in here. to 85 kilometers. We're pretty low on delta V as well. Five kilometers is good enough. It's gonna be tight. It's gonna be really tight. I also don't have a lot of time to work on this. So there. There. Turn to the maneuver node. Turn to the maneuver node. I'm already past the burn point. This is gonna be really tight. I can tell I'm nervous doing this. I've actually done this like 3 times now before the stream, and I've done it with like 400 delta V left over. And this run, I think I got a little freaked out when the ship tumbled on the first attempt. So I was a little bit too meek on the second try. What do you know? I got 53 delta V left. Shoo-wee. Okay, let's use that remaining delta V. Thinking about this. So with the extra delta V in the last time up, I put this, I sent the what do you want to call it? The boost stage. I deorbited it. I think what I'm going to do in this case is I'm going to keep it here, and I'm going to bring up a ship with some fuel in it. And actually, no, I can use some of the fuel. No, I used all of that fuel. So I'll bring the ship up with some fuel in it, and I'll put some more fuel in this, and then I'll deorbit it. But I'll keep it attached for now. Okay. So let's fix 78 by 94. Let's see if we can fix that a little bit. Let's see where we are. This is the smallest. So I need to raise it in front of me. I need to swivel the orbit to the left, and you do that with radial burns. If I burn radial out, it will swivel this orbit to the left as though I was pinned at the point where I make the burn. So let's turn to radial out. And it's pretty slow. It's a pig on a ship, but it's okay. We got the orbit. That's a first step. I can always send up another ship to adjust this, to put it in a different location or whatever. I just needed to get it into orbit to begin with, which should have completed a contract, by the way. Build a new orbital station around Kerbin. What have I not done? Build a new station that has an antenna, has a docking port, and can generate power. Ooh, can't generate power yet. Oh, damn it. You know, we might have to do another launch. I originally built this with a power unit attached that had all of the power, and I didn't think to put any power on this because I was just going to immediately deorbit it. So now I can't meet the contract because these things have to be on the ship before you launch. So I have to revert. Good practice. Now, since I'm going to send the power unit up separately, I'm going to put some solar panels on the launch vehicle, the boost vehicle, and that'll count as a station that can generate power. And so I'll complete the contract. I'm glad I checked it. But yeah, I wasn't thinking about that. I originally sent the ship up with something that can generate power on it. Oop, I didn't want to revert to there. I want to revert back to the VAB. So yeah, I've built a couple of these ring stations, but it's been a long time since I've been in stock and put one together. So I thought, I watched a bunch of videos on how you can cheat symmetry and set one of these up. But they all seem to fall short. They don't show any of the problems that you run into. It's just like it's all nice and polished and it all goes together. But then if you run into a problem, you don't know what to do to fix it. And so I made my VODs. I keep all of my errors in it, and I'm going to put it on my YouTube channel. And when next time I have to do this, I'll sit through those videos and I can see all of the potential pitfalls before I start. Because within a week or two, I won't remember any of this again. So all we needed was like one solar panel on this thing to meet the requirement. So, and normally this is an autonomous vehicle. It has a probe core up here. So normally I would just, as a matter of fact, put some kind of or just a habit, I would put a battery and a couple of solar panels. But for some reason I was in a hurry to put this together and I didn't really think about it. So we'll put 6 there. And we'll put 6 more. Put 6 more there. Okay, so now this meets the contract requirement of being able to have an antenna. It has to have a docking port, can generate power, and has an antenna. So it's got all 3 of the things on it. Okay, so let's save this and then let's try to do a better launch. Let's see if I can get more than 53 units of or 53 Delta V left. Might have to get something to drink here pretty soon. Yeah, I'm all out of drinks. I'll have to get up and get a drink in a second. So we'll get this guy into orbit and then we'll send the power module up. And then I can deorbit the boost stage for this one. For this. Okay, let's do it again. Lights. SAS, full throttle. Set the camera to free. 3, 2, 1. Let the engine spool up and release. So let's zoom in here so you can see. I added a pair of these little motors down here to get the thrust of this core stage when these 2 guys drop off to be over 1 to 1. It's 1.02 to 1, but it's more than 1 to 1 at least. And I didn't start my roll. Complete. Don't you come out of that. Don't you come down yet. Yeah, delaying that roll has caused a little bit of a problem here. Now I'm pitching. Can't get over. Come on, get over. And see how sensitive it is? It has to go straight up. I can't have any kind of a pitch at all until I'm through this area. And I'm coming into the area of max Q, and I'm already out of position, so that's not good. Let's revert this. Watch. Comes with the territory with these big ships. If this was hard mode, I would have put 5-meter parts on and put this up without a problem. This is right at the bleeding edge of what you can do with as big a ship as I'm putting it over. It weighs 200 tons, by the way. It's 197 tons. What we're putting into orbit right now. So, yeah. Okay, paying attention this time. 25 meters per second. I can start my roll program. Whoop, come on back. Don't you go too far. Very good. Okay. Okay, first obstacle cleared. Roll program complete. Next hard point is going to be reducing the throttle and keeping it below 250 as we go through this area of max Q. Okay, throttling back. A little more. Still above 1-to-1 thrust weight. Coming up to the area of max Q. Right, 10,000 feet, starting to pitch over. The tricky thing with this is if you start to get to, if it starts to go off, you don't have enough time to fix it. Once it starts falling off, you can't get it back. Like right now, I should not have been below. There we go. I was able to save it. So I went to one engine and I'm back down to 1.15 meters per second, so I've got to be gentle. We're behind again. Let's see if I can push this. Push our luck a little here. Okay, we're high enough out of the atmosphere that I can actually get ahead of this again. There's what I wanted to see. Big jump down. And we keep pitching this over hard. I'm at 54. Okay. So I'm going to start changing this from vertical to horizontal velocity. Gotta be aware of my time to apoapsis. I don't want to. It was starting to come down, so I need to pitch back up. Keep that apoapsis about a minute away. Pitch up a little more until that starts climbing. There we go. We're climbing again, so I can start creeping down. And creeping down. Oop, that's too far. Get there. It's the sweet spot. There we go. Time to apoapsis is picking up again, which is great. Very good. I can actually start taking some power out. The ship's going to prograde. $79. That's much better. Almost 1,000 delta V left this time. Much better. So come over to the lapses now. Add root node. I don't have a lot of time to play around here. Turn to the maneuver node, which I'm just going to call prograde. 10 seconds to the burn this time. 4, 3, 2. We're going to start actually a little early. So 600 and I got 800, so we'll have a couple hundred delta V left. So not a perfect launch, but it's much better than the first successful one. Okay, that's pretty close. Let's see what we got. Put up with 90 by 80. So we can fix this because I got delta V now. So I want to lower this and I want to raise that. So I want to spool the orbit to the left, which means I want to burn radially in. Okay, because I'm moving this way, and imagine if I'm now going to have a vector that points in, it's going to take this whole orbit and it's going to swivel it to the left. Okay, so I don't need this one. It's painfully slow to turn this thing. Yeah, if I'm lucky, I can get it to 85, 85, which would be great. It's perfect height. Okay, start slowing down. Don't go past it too much. Come back. God. Wow, is it a pig? Even with RCS, I can't get it to move. What's going on? Did it run out of power or something? No. Alright, we're getting it now. Yeah. Radio in, not radio out. No, that is radio in. Stop going away. Come on. Am I controlling from the top of the ship? So I am controlling from there. And it was acting almost like I wasn't controlling from the top of the ship. $85 by 86. Hot dicky. Okay. Woo! We salvaged that. That was pretty amazing. So now what we'll do is tell this thing to point normally. Because I want to point this guy's docking port. I'm going to send the ship up now, and it's going to dock up here. Sorry, it's going to end up docking down here. And so I want that to be pointing anti-normal. The top of the ship's turning to normal right now. And you'll see right now it says I have 195 delta V. When I decouple from this, that's going to jump up to 600 because of the weight of getting this 200-ton thing decoupled. So in fact, instead of normal, I'm going to go to, no, normal is good. Stick with the plan. No normal. Okay. And once it's normal, we'll deorbit this and I'll send my power unit up. I should have completed the contract now. Build a station around Kerbin. Ferry. Why is it not giving me? Build a new orbital station around Kerbin. Build an orbital station that has an antenna. Okay, I've got antennas. I got 2 of them actually. Oh no. Oh, I don't believe I just did this. The antenna as well as the power generation was on, guess what? The power unit, which I didn't bring up in this launch. Oh my god, I gotta revert. Well, I make mistakes, so you don't have to. Not a problem. Okay. So I've got to move either move the antennas onto, well, I've got to move an antenna onto the ship. And so without changing the design of my power module, I'm going to just put a communitron on this so it meets the antenna requirement. Oh my God. Oh, did I say go to launch? I should have gone revert to VAB again. I did revert to VAB. All right. So we what, take 5? When am I up to in time? Oh, we're already up to 50 minutes. Oh, goodness. Or 40 minutes, actually. All right, so here, to fix this problem, all I have to do is this. I was brain dead. I would have had no problems with this. So all I have to do now is go to communications, bing, take a Communitron 16 and stick it right there. There, I now meet the requirement of having an antenna. And you know, while I'm at it, doesn't hurt. I'm gonna put 6 of these on here. It has to go there without, of course it has to go there without having a problem. So we're gonna take this, put the antenna on the ship. Can I put it? Don't worry, we're gonna put it way up here. And we're just gonna put 1, okay? Touch something with 4-way symmetry and then X, X, X. And we'll put right. Put it right. Stick it right here. Okay, so that's like our emergency antenna, emergency communications antenna. Oh, and I just noticed something else that's broken. Okay, not a problem. We gotta fix this. For some reason, you put a fairing on, the fairing will go away. But now I can't put another fairing on because you can't put a fairing through a component. So I'm gonna have to pull one of these off, or pull them both off. Just stick them here for now. And then I got to rebuild the fairing. Like that. And then I've got to turn fairing expansion back on. And then I've got to take this and put it back on here with 4-way symmetry. To there. There we go. And then turn off fairing expansion. Where is fairing expansion? Right there. Okay, then turn it back to silver. That's good enough. Back out. Okay, you can see there's a little bit of a problem here because they're sticking out. So now I've got to do this. Turn off this. Take this. Make sure I'm in local. And slide it in. I know what I did. I put these in backwards. Okay, that should match the way this one is as far as how much of it is past. That's about right. Okay, so that one's right. So now we got to fix this one. to do that, I gotta pull this guy off first. This guy, pull him off first. Stick him over here. It didn't take the whole thing. Control Z. Now I gotta wait for Control Z to take effect. Control Z. Come on. There we go. So now we'll take this guy. Wait for it to let me move again. Come on. Get rid of that now. Okay, this looks like it should be the whole thing. There we go. We got 4 segments. Very good. All right, so now do the same thing we did before. Let's build the fairing. That text turns blue. It's just teasing me. Come on. Come on. Hey, that I wish they would fix that. I consider that a bug. I should be able to close the fairing wherever I want to close it. Making me fight is not something I enjoy. Oops, don't mess things up. Okay. Shiny. I just I pull it off, put it back on, which destroyed the fairing. So now I gotta build the fairing again. Or maybe I can just edit it. Yeah, I can edit it, but it's still. There we go. Oh, I got it first try that time. Okay, let's not make any more mistakes. Do this, and it should be on its shiny there. Then I need to turn fairing expansion back on again. And then I need to grab my fuselage. And so I need to put it right in there. Come on. Right on the right ones, okay. All right. The fairing expansion off. Okay, now fill out. And then same thing, we gotta move these guys in. What happened here? It lost the fairing again. Seriously? That's some serious bullshit there. Some serious bullshittery. It's completely gone. Which was the end? I forget which was the end. I don't know. Let's see what happens. I don't think it was this end. I think it was this end. There we go. But it, okay, for a minute I thought it lost the come on. So now turn off bearing expansion. Once it's in orbit, it'll be fine, but just this is the games you have to play when you're doing things that are out of the normal. And now this one still has its, yes. Okay, so the fairing is on that one properly now. And the fairing is on this one. And the last thing to make sure of is that they're centered. And it looks to me like they're not. Okay, one last problem to resolve here. Okay, and then you have to move these in. To right about there. So, centered, centered. Go back up to here. Looks like it needs to come down as well. Okay, so that looks centered now. Save it, quick, save it, quick, save it. Although sometimes that doesn't even matter. You'll save it and you, for some reason, whenever you reload the ship, it deletes the fairings and you've got to go through that whole exercise I just went through again. So, okay, so now let's make sure this time I've got an antenna. I can generate power. I can generate power. Because of that, did I put okay, the antenna's up here. Should be just a single antenna, right? And down here, now I've lost track. I thought I already put some of these on here, but that's just to be safe. Why is it? Oh, it's got 22-way symmetry. I just touch something with 4-way symmetry, and that fixes that problem. Put 4. Put 8. We'll put 8 right in here. Okay, now the actual space station has an antenna, can generate power, can store power, and has a docking port. All right, save it and let's try launching again. Holy crap. I'm glad this was just to get this into orbit because we're going on. What is it, an hour? Yeah, it looks like an hour just to get the ship into orbit. Sorry, I bumped my head into the... I got two monitors and I have my mic is to my right, and so trying to move over to be able to read the time, I was banging my headset into the mic. Apologize for that. Okay. So we're going to check right from the beginning here. Okay, yeah, see the first one is checked now. Build a ship with an antenna, a docking port, and can generate power, and it's got a green check mark. So now I just have to get it into orbit and maintain the orbit for 10 seconds. Okay. All right. Lights, 6. Full throttle. Camera set. Launch. It's 200 tons of ship to low kerbin orbit. Okay, roll program complete. That's a pretty cool look. I'll have to grab some screenshots after we're done here tonight. Okay, throttling down. Let's start our pitch over until we're at 10 kilometers. We're coming right into the area of maximum dynamic pressure right now. Throttle out. Start pitching over. Oh, I got too far ahead of it again. Can I salvage it? Wow. Okay, we got lucky. Then the first one. Hopefully it'll get into orbit, that's all. trying to pitch over faster to get. But the problem with that is now getting too close to the apoapsis again. At 70K. Nowhere near 1500. I consider 1500 meters per second to be the minimum velocity you should reach your apoapsis at. 2300 is ideal because then you don't have to hardly make any burns to circularize. It's pitching up again so I can take a little throttle out. Yay, 1500. Well, at least it's not a total bust. This isn't actually going to be that bad. Come on, 80. Very good. Now, turn forebrain. Let's circularize. $13 seconds to the burn. Button it close. One. Start the burn. Actually, it worked out not too bad. We're going to have like 200 or 300 delta V left. So it's not as bad as I thought. One by 76. Should go a little bit more. Two by 78. Now we can. We want to lower the orbit in front of us, so I want to burn radially in. Ground side up. Well, maybe turn. And this thing has 7 reaction wheels, 2.5 meter reaction wheels on it. And I also have RCS, but I don't want to waste it. We'll waste a little of it. Okay, so I'm not going to go blasting past it this time. 79 by 80. Hot diggity. So all I have to do now is go prograde and make a little tiny puff, and we'll be in an 80-kilometer orbit, which is what was shooting for, and I've got 231 delta V left. I'm doing 2 thumbs up right now, just in case, just to let you know the visual. I'm doing 2 thumbs up. $80 by 80. All right, perfect. Yep. Do an F5. Do a Alt F5. 4, 5, 4. And in Michigan, it is now 11 p.m., so that's 21. Sorry? Wow. That would be 9 o'clock, 2100. It's 2300. Save. Now, I can always get back to this point for sure. All right, so now let's turn the ship normal. So my docking port will eventually be facing anti-normal. So this should be the front of the ship. It is. So the power unit's going to be much easier to get up. We should get that up in the first shot. And then once I get it all connected, I can blow all of these. I can blow all of these struts and start the rotors turning. Okay, and we didn't lose our. This is the biggest fear when I do this: is I get all the way to orbit and all of a sudden my fairings are missing. Fairings are real flaky. Okay, that's almost normal. Let's go back and let's get the power unit. I am streaming. Okay, I haven't seen anybody enter the chat screen. I wish there was something that could just tell you when people entered and left your chat. So what was that, like 8 launches? 10 launches? We finally got it. 2 launches because I forgot to put components on. Pick up my launch clamps. Okay, and while we're at it, let's actually make sure I got credit for that. Moon. It's around the moon. Where's... Okay, I must have got... It's not even in the list now, so I must have gotten credit for it. Very good. Okay. The thunder you're hearing is atmospheric mod by BlackRack, but he charges like $6 for it. But I broke down and got it. I think KSP 1, actually, you can't even build a ringed station in KSP 2 yet. It doesn't have any kind of orbital manufacturing that you can do for construction. That's not in KSP 2 yet. There's a lot of things that KSP needs to get yet. Okay, so let's load the power module, which is much simpler. Power module stacked. There we go. See, much simpler. Just a mainsail engine, some 2.5 meter fuel tanks, and then the power meter itself, which has 8 gigantors with a robotic arm to swing them out, and it's got basically these are 4,000. It's got five 4,000 unit batteries. There's underneath this fairing. There's 5 more of the 1K battery. So it's actually 4Ks plus 1K more, 5.1K of battery power in that power module, which is pretty much enough to run everything. And then here's why we had to run the launch again, because there's my antennas on here, and here is my ability to generate power. So I couldn't, it just was too hard to put this into orbit with that other ship. So let's see, it's telling me I've got 4,000, but that's actually if I use, I think it's got crossfeed on here. Yeah, if I disable crossfeed, I drop all the way down to 2,000. So I've got fuel in these end caps here. This is fuel and this is fuel. So it's using not only the fuel in the tank down here, but it's using the fuel from the power module itself. That's okay. Let's get it to orbit. So we'll put this in 140 kilometer orbit, and then we'll do a rendezvous and dock back down to the actual station. Nope. T, Z, V, and launch. Why is it pitching over? I must have it must have taken 2. That's really weird. It decoupled. Took an extra decouple click. I'm like, why is it tipping over? Yeah, this is the only thing in KSP 1 compared to KSP 2. The load times are painful. Okay, let's see. Oh, there's what happened. My staging is screwed up. I want the... Okay, I wish I could save it, but I can't. Okay. Second tries the charm. 2, T, Z, V. That's better. Roll program, even though I don't have people in it, I'll do the roll program anyway. See, now this time when I hit 1,000 meters, I'll start to do my pitch over. Usually I like to be about 10,000 meters when I get to the 60-degree point. Got a real thunderstorm back in the distance there. Throttle back, going through max Q now. Okay, we can come back up on the throttle again. Okay, looking real good. Looking real good on trajectory. Should come back on the tower a little sooner than that. Okay. Oh, wow. Well, I must have done a really terrible ascent because I used all my fuel. This thing should have... That must have been a horrible ascent. When it gets down, we'll see. Let's just see how much delta V I should have. Or did I remember to turn the cross feed back on? I might have forgotten to turn the cross feed back on. Oh, that's what I did. See, my total delta V is 2,000. So I don't mess this up again in the future. Let's go back to the VAB and turn that cross feed back on. Yeah, I turned I'm using fuel up in the power module. So when I turned blocked it, that was why we ran out of fuel. This guy right here. Enable crossfeed, and we jump up to 4,000 delta V. Save it, launch. And this rocket only costs about 90 grand, so that's like three rockets to get one into orbit. Almost like United Launch Alliance. Or whatever the Chinese space program is called. Although their technology is actually getting to a point where it's exceeding ours when you consider the fact that all of our electronics are made in that part of the world, and all of the advancements that are being made in that field is happening in that side of the world, and we're technologically falling behind. ZV launch. Did it double click again? I think it may have double clicked again. Yeah, it did. I can hear it. I press one time to launch, and I hear launch. You know, crack crack as to like it's double. Which is weird. There's supposed to be like a second delay, even if you do double click the spacebar. It shouldn't do two decouples. Okay, so lights on, T, Z, V. Okay, 3, 2, 1. Oh, I was in the VAB. No, I didn't hear. Yeah, I did hear two decouples because I didn't fix the. If there's anybody in the stream, they're probably sitting there screaming at the screen right now. Fix your staging. Okay. What in the world? Oh, I moved the decoupler down, and then I didn't move the launch clamps down. I put the decoupler before the launch clamps. Derp. I like the engine and then the launch clamps because I like the idea of letting the engine spool up before I release the launch clamps. So I usually have the engine, launch clamps, and then the rest of the stages above it. Yeah, see, let's do this, and let's put the launch clamps, not... There we go. So now engine will fire, launch clamps will release, and then we'll decouple this when we finally get to orbit. So, and I think I just hit the space bar. T, Z, B. Okay, yeah, I did hit the space bar. It's okay though. Okay, roll program. Okay. 1,000 meters or 100 meters per second. I'll start my pitch over. Pitch. Shooting for 10,000 meters at 60. Okay. Good. Looking at for 20 kilometers at 45. Throttling back up again. Now, some more. Some more. Pitched over a little bit too fast that time. It's okay though. It's not like it's rocket science or anything. There we go. Now I'll just go to program. For 80K. and also looking for about 2,300 meters per second. You'll see that I'll have like just barely over 100 or maybe even less than 100 delta V to circularize. Okay. Well, 20,000, I'm not 23, so it's going to be a little more than I projected there, but let's see what we got. Maneuver node. There we go. We got a full 2 minutes to play now, so let's see what we'd end up at. 82 by 78, so we'll run radial in, and that'll flip them around. That's 80 by 80 right there. You can actually bring this back now to here. And 80 by 80. Okay, turn to the node. I do have a reaction wheel on here. It seems like it's very sluggish. We got a minute to get to the maneuver node. And let's get it. Maneuver node now. Turn to the maneuver node. That's the problem. Okay, 24 seconds to the burn. And I actually screwed up. Shoot. Well, I'll fix it after the burn. We want this guy to be in a higher orbit than the station that we're docking with. So once I circularize, I'll make another quick burn and a circularization burn to get us above our target. In fact, I'm going to do that right now. I'm going to make our apoapsis 140. There we go, 140. That will circularize up here. Whoops, overcooked it. So now you see I'm in a concentric orbit above my target. So now I'll let the target catch up to me, and we get to the correct phase angle. I'll transfer to make the maneuver down to the target vessel. So turn to the maneuver node. Turn to the maneuver node. $50 seconds to the burn. Oh. 30 seconds to the burn. Work time a little bit. 10 seconds. 3, 2, 1. Oh my God. Had my finger on the wrong button. It's okay, we can fix it. Okay. Okay, there we go. 135 by 145. So I can burn radially out. For the rendezvous, this isn't really necessary, but I just like having things even. What? Radial out? Radial out should raise this. Why is it lowering it? What the hell? Oh, I know what's going on. That's my bad. My main controlling part is pointed the wrong way. So it's backwards. That's better. And 32. All right. And once again, I had my finger on the wrong button to stop the burn. Don't know what's going on today. Get a little closer. Okay, so when you do the radial burns, there's no point in taking either the PE or the AP beyond where your ship is at. Because what we're doing is we're swiveling the orbit at this point. And once you get this at the same level as your pivot point, it doesn't do any good to do any more swiveling. So that's as close as I'm going to get, which is 48 by 34. So I can just do a small prograde burn up here, or I can do a retrograde burn here to bring this side down, which is what I'll do. By 48. What is going on here? So this AP is 48. The PE is... What the hell? Am I looking at the wrong... That's what it is. I was looking at the ships. Let's fix it. This is the power. I was looking at the capsule module and wondering it wasn't where I thought I was when I was burning. All right. But in all of that screwing around, I ran myself out of frickin' fuel. Unbelievable, Ricky. That was terrible. I made 4 burns looking at the wrong ship, wondering why it wasn't doing what I was expecting it to do. And part of that reason, I've done this so many times, I don't even think about it. If I know I'm looking at the right ship and I make the burn, I hardly even have to look at anything because I know it's going to do exactly what I want it to do. So what was happening was I'd start the burn, and I didn't notice things were going wrong until it was really seriously wrong. Now I'm pissed. I'm going to do this absolutely perfect this time. You. HQ. This angle so we don't become a flaming meteor again like we did last time. This time, yeah, maneuver out. That's good enough. I can actually pull it back a little bit. We're at 80 over 81. That's close enough. Turn to the maneuver node. To the maneuver. I can't warp because I'm already less than a minute away. So just Time work to 10 seconds. Okay, 10 seconds before the burn. And burn. Good enough. 84 by 84, and actually, once again, we want to go to 140. So, stay prograde, and let's put our AP up to 140. Close enough now. Add maneuver node here and circularize. Okay, it's going to be close enough. No, it's not. Want to get this side? 140. 142 by 140. That's close enough. Okay, turn to the node. So then the next step we'll do once we get in an orbit that's higher than our target is we'll match planes with the target. And then the last step before doing the rendezvous is we'll wait until we're at the proper phase angle before we try to make the rendezvous. And let's turn those damn ships off, because that was what was getting me confused. Just a fast burn here. Four, 3, 2, 1. Close enough. 140 by 139.9, so that's good enough. So now I'm going to have to turn those ships back on again, because I think it thinks the ring station is it's got crew on it, so yeah, it's going to think it's a so I'll set this guy as my target. Okay, and then I got to figure out what our, so almost a degree off of his being in the same plane as him. So what I'll need to do is make a burn here at the anti-normal, and we'll make a normal burn. Let's in this one so I can see it. So that's telling me -9. This is 9, so it should be anti-normal to lower it. And there you go, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, whoop, and that should be 0. They want us to flip sides, just like when you're circularizing an orbit when you get to the right spot. So, okay, let's turn to the maneuver node. And once we get in the same plane, we can start looking for the point that we can make a transfer down to the lower orbit where we meet, which is basically a rendezvous. Or a rendezvous. Let's warp to the target. Same plane as the target. Now, to find out where the corrected phase angle is what I do is look for, if you take your chip in the higher orbit and you go to the center and you make a 90-degree cutout, you want it to be at about 45 degrees, the target, so that I'm gonna transfer down to his orbit. So I want him to be somewhere in this range right here. And then to refine it even more, what I do is I'll take the target ship, which is this guy. Nope, it's this guy. He's in the lower orbit, so I'll put it at 6 o'clock and just imagine a horizontal line from there. I want to be here, and I want him to be here, right? So we'll warp time until we get the right phase angle. When the astronauts go up to the shuttle, it only takes 8 minutes to get to orbit, but it takes 3 days to actually get to the right phase angle to transfer to the ISS. Now I have to just make sure I don't confuse the two ships. You know what I'm going to do is, that's my target. Now I can hide ships and it'll only show me and him. I put him down here at the 6 o'clock position. Just gonna wait until I'm inside of that 90-degree angle now. What did I just do? I keep hitting the wrong keys. Now okay, we can still salvage this. First of all, stop warping, please. Thank you. Now, once you get to the right phase angle, the next thing you do is you create a maneuver node, and I'm going to lower my orbit until it passes through his orbit, and you'll see 2 close approach markers appear. So come down and then there. So there's a close approach marker. There's a pink pair, a peach pair, and a plum pair. Now I just grab the whole maneuver node and I drag it. So we got lucky. And let's see, separation is 400 meters. If I make the burn from right there. So turn to the maneuver node. And I got 2 minutes to get to the burn. I got a new keyboard, and I'm constantly being off by 1 key because it's got a row of special function keys on the left side. And it keeps putting my hands just always in the wrong spot. Maybe. Should be close enough. Let's see where we ended up. 200 meters away from the target. So now we've got the rendezvous set up. So now we'll actually make the rendezvous. I'll warp to this point here. Right, and then the nav ball should change to target mode, which it just did. If it doesn't, you have to manually put it there. You have 3 modes: surface, target, and orbit. And we want target, because now this is telling me my closure rate to the target. So if I turn target retrograde, like that, the target should be off the tail end of my ship. And there it is below me. It's turning into it right now. So the first thing is I want my closure rate to be 1/100th of my distance, which should be 12 meters per second. So we are going way super fast. Okay, there we go. I should be going 10 meters per second when he's 1,000 meters away. So now we can get to the point where we're 2 kilometers. Whoops, what happened? Wow, everything's going haywire here today. Target prograde. So I need to be going 10 meters per second toward this. I'm actually 10 kilometers away. I need to be going 100 kilometers toward it. Oh my God. Ricky. Where's the target prograde? You know, I'm going to end up having to do this again. I don't see the target prograde marker. I misread a 10 kilometers as a kilometer. So I basically sent us off in a wild goose chase. But what I don't understand is I don't see where the target marker is. Fuck it. Seriously. I would normally stop this stream at this point and start all over because this is just way more errors than I normally make, and I don't know what it is. It's only 11 o'clock or midnight. Why am I playing like I'm asleep or something? But we're gonna get these 2 ships docked, and then I'm gonna call it a night. But we'll get these ships docked. I'm just beside myself in frustration here. And guess what? Son of a bugger bastard. Staging. I keep launching, having to set the staging before I launch, and I'm getting tired of forgetting it. So I'm going to the nav and putting the staging correctly. Or making the staging correct. Okay. There. Son of a bitch. We went up to 140K this time. It's funny, when I'm streaming, I tend to pitch over far slower than I do when I'm playing and not streaming. I don't know what the reason for that is, but it's wasting a lot of fuel. My sets are really bad. And it doesn't help that you got to wait 5 minutes for the screens to load. Finally. basically just following the program marker down, which is what a gravity turn is all about. Pause here a little bit. Looking at is where my apoapsis is. It's when it's at about 30. It's back down. 30 should be there. Flaming meteor mode again. Just keep screwing the approach up. This should be 40K at this point. We're at 54 here. So, not on today. And did I not? I thought maybe I screwed up the crossfeed again. This seems like I should have a lot more delta V at this point. There we go, close enough. So now. Close enough. Turn to the new 407, that's going to use half, okay. That's, I figured out, I calculated this with about 400 delta V to do, to spare once I'm in orbit, so this is close to a good orbital insertion. Get to the node. Ten seconds. Target. Let's see. 5 degrees, so this is the node I'm going to hit first. Let's see. I need the full anti-normal. There we go. A little bit too much. There we go. There's 0. Point to the node. F5 this time, so I need to start F5ing too, since I'm making so many mistakes today. Okay, go to the node. Very small burn. There we go. Close enough. So, okay, now, get to the right phase angle. Let's hide this ship I don't need to see, and then get this one once again to the correct phase angle. So one more time. So I'm inside that 45-degree angle now, but I'm going to get a little closer. There you go. Now, if you imagine a horizontal line from the ship in the lower orbit, I'm a little bit ahead of them, but this should be fine for me to make a rendezvous now. So I'll create a maneuver node, and then I'll reduce it until it passes through his orbit. You'll see 2 close approach markers right there. Right now, I just take the whole maneuver node, click to see our separation. There's the other marker right in here. Now, if I grab the whole maneuver node and slide it, see those markers will start to come together. Right about there. Okay, not quite there yet. So I need a close approach marker. Separation is 5. You got to be really careful. You don't want to pull on it, one of the handles. Okay, 5, 4, 2. There's 1, and jump back up. What if I got this other thing turned on? Separation now. There we go. 500 meters is good enough. Turn to the maneuver node. So it's match planes with your target, get into its concentric orbit, wait for the right phase angle, drop a maneuver node in front of you, raise or lower your orbit until it passes through the target orbit, and you'll see 2 close approach markers. Then grab the maneuver node and slide it around until you bring the close approach markers on top of each other. And then make that burn. So I'll warp to the maneuver node. Okay, so what do we end up at? 300 meters away. That's perfect. Now, once we get this, we'll warp up to before the maneuver. I'm going to come back here a little bit. Warp to there. The nav ball should switch to target mode once you get close enough to your target. You can go out here. Now I'm going to go to target retrograde. And the target will show up below me, right? And that's 25 kilometers. So 1/100th of that is 25 meters per second is what I should be moving towards the target at. I'm at 136. So I need to reduce that by quite a bit. Okay, there we go. Now I'm moving at the target at 1/10 of our distance. What the hell? What the hell? What? Okay, something's not right. Hold on. Something's not right. I've only done this about 400 billion times. I don't know what's going on here. Where's our close-up? Have I made that burn yet? Yes, I have. Okay, so let's warp down to here. Let's warp to here. Oh no, hold on. I haven't made the burn yet. Jesus. Fortunately, I still have time for the burn. So again, I'm 200 meters away at that point. Have I got... Something's just not right. I warp to here. Okay, first, we're doing this every step of the way here. Save it. Warp to here. It switches to target mode. Come back out here. I say target retrograde. And the target will be below me. Right, I'm moving at it. Okay. Okay. All right, I'm used to making, okay, I know what I did wrong. I don't want to start matching velocities until I'm at least within physics range. And I should have known that. I don't know what I'm thinking tonight. Physics range is 2 kilometers, and then you start adjusting your velocity. Okay, now I'm in physics range. Now I should be... I'm 2,000 meters away, so I should be at 20. Okay, so now if I go out here, you'll see I'm still. There we go. That was my bad. Now, when you're trying to rendezvous, you notice here's the target retrograde and here's where I am. So if you make a burn, it will push the bearing indicator. The bearing indicator will push the retrograde marker away. So if I get over here, you got to be careful with this because this is a big piggy ship. And I'm really struggling to maneuver. And I'm closing distance here. So when I get down to here, see it pushes it onto the retrograde marker. So now I'll get back on retrograde. So back on retrograde, I'm going 2.5 meters per second. I'm going to turn on RCS. And I'm going to work retrograde to get that up to 3 meters per second. Okay, turn off RCS. Okay. Work it a little more. Work it a little more. Two, 1, 0. Okay, so we're now at station keeping. So we have completed the rendezvous. Now the next step is actual docking. So first of all, I'm going to control from this docking port. Okay, should have already been doing. I just want to make sure. And then now I can switch over to the target vessel. And we'll decouple this guy because that's the port I want to dock to. First of all, let's make sure we're pointed normal. Just gotta have patience. Seeing lightning strikes out on the planet. It's kind of cool. Okay, let's get rid of this guy now on dock. Switch to that ship. Which ship has it switched me to? There's my ship. There's the station. There's this ship. RCS. Ship, right? It does have RCS. Or does it? No, this does not have RCS. Okay. Turn radial in. We'll just deorbit this guy now and get it out of our hair. Once I'm radial in, I'll just make a little light burn. So I make sure I'm below the station here. Now I'll turn retrograde. Okay. And the main ship is in station holding, so I have lots of time. It's to get this done. So we'll deorbit this guy. And all we have to do is get its periapsis below negative and it'll deorbit. There we go. That's deorbited. Absolutely sure it's deorbited. Okay. Go back to our space station. And this is the port we want to dock to. Take this, put it up there, lock it, switch back to my ship. Oh, no, my ship, not that one. There we go. Now what we'll do is we'll bring up the docking port alignment indicator, our tool. That's this guy. And I will now turn my ship until my docking port is lined up with his docking port. And I already know, since his docking port is facing anti-normal, if I turn normal, our two docking ports will be aligned. My docking port is represented by the center of the crosshairs here. So when my docking port is, or his docking port is lined up with my docking port, it'll be in the middle of this. So it should start to appear here pretty soon. Oh, it helps if I say set as target. There you go. So there you go. See, he's pointing anti-normal and I'm pointing normal now. But I'm past his docking port. So what I need to do is I'll turn on my RCS. And you see that retrograde marker there? Putting it in the center, right? And then I'm going to burn retrograde. Right? At about 0.6 meters per second. I can actually go higher than that. Let's go 1 meter per second. There you go. So I'm moving 1 meter per second. And I want to just go this way until I can get in front of his docking port. And these red lines here will change to green when I get in front of his docking port. See, and this is the beauty of turning one ship normal and one ship anti-normal. All I have to worry about now is translation. So I'm in C distance is telling me the distance in front of his port. I am of 8 meters now. We'll get about 10 meters in front and stop. Okay. Now, everything in orange is his ship. You see the orange up here? That's the top of his docking port. Right, if I put it there, it's now at the top of my docking port. So I've aligned our docking ports. Right? So now the last thing to do is, if I change to locked mode, just to show you here, if I go into locked mode and I look at the back from the back of my ship, like that. Guess what? See where he's at? He's to my left and above me. So now I take this prograde marker here and I'll burn to the left and I'll burn up. So now my ship is moving along this vector. Right. So if I move back here now, let's say I'll warp. It's safe to warp time, so I'll warp. You see, I'm moving up and to the left. Now it's also moving me prograde, so I'm creeping towards it. So we're going to do an N. So I'm slowly moving away from it now. Right? And now as the vertical line gets close to the center, oops, went a little bit too far. It's okay. So just once I get there we go. I'm hitting the J key, by the way. So now I'm directly below this docking port, and now I'm moving up. So we can warp time again. Right. And then as I start to get close, I'm going to hit the I key to move my prograde marker down. So I get everybody lined up. So now our docking ports should be directly across from one another and be 6 meters apart, like that. Right. So now I can hit the H key to start moving towards the docking port. I can also do part camera. There we go. So I see it's starting to get, the horizontal line is getting below me, so I'm burning down. So then it starts to come back to the center. Center everything again. It's getting a little bit to the left, so I'll do that. Now, once we get within 2 meters, we should dock. Good. Okay, that was a bunch of mistakes, but we finally got everybody connected. So now let's change back to free camera mode, and I can ditch this, but I'll keep it for now. It's got some fuel in it I'll be able to use. So now when I press the 2 key, I got robotics swings those arms out, and then I hit the 1 key, and that throws all of the solar panels out. Then I hit the 4 key, that opens my antennas. There we go. We should have all the lights on. Now the only thing left to do is make the wheels start turning. So this is the fun part. I'm going to hit F5 just to be safe. I don't need this to be visible anymore. So here we go. See all of these. Oops, that would have been another mistake. I want to take this guy. Actually, I'm going to take this guy and put it up here. Take that guy and put it up there. That's the docking port where I'm connected here, so I don't want to accidentally disconnect us. But I do want to delete all of these decouplers, and that's going to let all of these. It's going to let all of those struts go. So let's, once again, let's save it again to be safe. Then I should just have to cross fingers. You know what? I'm going to do something else here to be safe. I'm going to shut this engine down so I don't accidentally hit the shift key. Okay, drum roll, please. Spacebar. That's scary. What did I just decouple? What did I just decouple? I'm noticing I should have two decouplers. I should have this one. Okay, I didn't decouple anything. I'm only seeing this one decoupler. Where's this decoupler? There should be two decouplers. There should be one here. One here. So this should be a pair of decouplers. And then this should be a pair of decouplers. Highlight it. Okay, so this is showing me that decoupler. Okay, let's see what's going on here. Just want to be sure. Where is this decoupler? Okay, so there's 4 sets of 8. So that should be 8. That should be 8. That should be 8. And that should be 8. All right. Well, I'm not quite sure why I don't see a decoupler here, but let's okay. Here we go. Spacebar. There we go. Yeehaw! So that frees up my reaction wheels now, or my rings. So now I have to go in here. And this is the only part that's changed from when I did this in the past. For some reason, I have to go in here and slide a torque slider on. So I gotta click that guy. It's not this, the shell I need. I could see it there for an instant. There it is. Click this. So the motors are engaged. I just have to take this torque slider and bring it all the way up to 100. And that will start this wheel rotating. Right? And I have to do the same thing for this one over here. So let's get in here. And there's no way that I've been able to see that I can set an action group up to make these, to make that slider go, that torque slider go up. But now that it's done, this will always work properly. So there you go. Space station with counter-rotating rings. About 220 tons. This right here, this setup here is about So it's, yeah, it's about 215 tons, not counting the booster stage back here. So I've got 8 small docking ports, 4 large docking ports. And I can also keep this attached and maybe use it to attach things as well. But there's 100 Kerbals in each one of the rings, because each of these is 4 Kerbals, and there's 25 of these crew modules. So there's 200, and then you get 4 in each of the hitchhiker cans, so that's another 12, so that's 212, and then 2 in each of the mobile processing labs, so that's 216, and then 1 in the cupola, so 217 Kerbals can fit in this. Right, and what I should do is, let's see, I gotta find where these guys are. So Bob is in here. I need Bob and Segski to be in here. So Bob and Segski are already in here. So that's good. Can I level anybody up? Yes, there we go. Segski is now 2-star scientist. So I got 2 2-star scientists in this mobile processing lab. And I'll bet Herman is Jebediah's up here in the cupola. He's hanging out, admiring the views in the cupola. Pretty sexy, huh? Whew. There's a lot of work to complete one small contract. But it's pretty cool looking. Let's get a good picture of you. There's a good view. For you. Snap. Oops, what did I do? Hit. I have no idea what combination keys I hit to make that pop up. So there we go. Pretty cool. Okay, so a lot of mistakes. This was a bad day for me getting to orbit. Believe me, I've got 13 years playing this game, not to mention 40 years as a aerospace engineer. So just had a bad day today. A lot of mistakes. I think you get too comfortable, and I just wasn't paying attention, so I did a couple things wrong. But I got videos that go through doing rendezvous a little bit better. The general principle that we covered today is correct. You want to get into the same plane as your target. You want to get in a concentric orbit either above him or below your target. Then you want to look for that 45-degree or less angle between your ship and the target ship, and that's the point where you want it. That's called the phase angle, and that's the point where you want to start looking to get a maneuver, a burn to rendezvous with the target. So you throw a maneuver node down, and you reduce or raise it until it passes through your target's orbit. And then you see the 2 close approach markers, and then you take the whole maneuver node and you slide it around to bring the close approach markers on top of each other. It's the same principle in KSP2. It's just I think their close approach markers are pretty crappy in KSP2. But it's the same basic way to do a Holman transfer or a bielliptic transfer. And then as far as the building the ring station goes, I've got the video before this one, which oddly enough is shorter than this video, and it goes through the whole process of creating the rings, and then getting them to spin, and then getting them to counter rotate so the core doesn't spin while the rings stand still. So I went through and I kept all the mistakes in on that. So if you can make your way through it, it's worth leaving the mistakes in, because I could take all the mistakes out and I could go into Premiere and make a real shiny video. But then when you start running into the issues that I ran into, you don't know how to fix them. So this is why I keep the mistakes in, and I just do these videos down and dirty. So with that, we now have let's do the final step here. Let's come up here to the cupola and let's rename this. First of all, make it a station, and we're going to call it Kerbal Space Hotel and Lab. Accept. Boom, dingus. Go to map mode, and you can see I've got a station around Kerbin now. I've got a station around Moon. This is the newer station. I haven't started making any landings on the moon yet, so I set the station up. First, I put a station around Minmus, and I built a whole infrastructure to do landings on each of the biomes in Minmus. There's only 2 biomes left, but I'm going to switch to making moon landings now, because I've got enough data stored in the Minmus's mobile processing lab that I'm going to basically finish up the whole tech tree before I leave the Kerbin system. So here's the updated station, and it's got this observation thing was actually, I rescued a Kerbinat, and it was floating in this, so I just took it up an engineer and I threw docking ports on both sides and I stuck it to the station now. So I got the extra observation post. This is the lander. It's a 4-man lander. Right? And then I go down and land. I can refuel and repeat. So go down, land, get the science, come back up, dock, refuel, go back down, land, and just do that. And every time I come back up, I have this science storage module on here. That's this one here, and it can collect all the science. So I'll go into it when I get back with a ship with science in it. I'll right click this and I'll say collect all, right? So it collects all the science from all of the ships and stores it in here. And then I say I can go to review data. There's 10 experiments stored in here. I got some things as I was coming out to the moon. I haven't done any surface landings yet, but if I click that, I can either store experiments into the processing lab or just keep them in memory. So there's one that I can try to put in the processing lab, but the processing lab only holds 750, so I can't put that one in. That one. I think all of these are going to be 375. So yeah, what's left in here I can't put into the processing lab. And right now the processing lab even has 5 pieces of data that are stored in its science storage. But right now it's got 2 level 2 scientists, and I'm collecting 8.155 science per day, and right now I got 200 and right now I've got 8 science, and I'm collecting 9.6 data science per day, and the science lab has 14 out of 750 possible data stored in it. So this guy just over time collects science, and every time it fills up, I can get 500 science, and I just transmit that back to kerbin. Then the extra things I have on here, there are 3 additional things. There's this big honking thing over here with all the solar panels and electricity. This guy here. This is a ore refinery, and what it's doing is it's making liquid oxygen and liquid fuel, and it's making monopropellant. And I can actually start these. Oh, actually, I want to stop them because I've got a contract to. I don't want to be converting my. This can hold 1,050 ore. This can hold 600 ore, and it's just basically a tug, because you get contracts to return 400 to 600 units of ore from either the moon or Minmus, and I've got right now a contract to return 400 units. So what I'll do is I'll send this guy down, which is an ore miner. So I send this to the surface to an area that has ore. I'll fill up its storage, right? Which actually, I think this is 1,050 and can be stored in here. Yes, 1,050 is in here. So this guy comes back up, and then use the refinery to convert its ore into either fuel, liquid oxygen, liquid fuel, or monopropellant, or I fill this guy up with 400 units and send it back to kerbin to complete that contract to return 400 units of ore from the moon. And then I just use this as to keep the fuel tanker filled, so every time I send my lander down and come back up, I can refuel. And when these start to get low, I'll send this lander down, collect some ore, come back up, convert that ore to liquid fuel and oxygen, refuel my lander, and continue making landings on the moon. So basically, I never have to go back to kerbin with this setup until I've collected all the science from the moon. And pretty much the same setup. Yes, and as just a safety precaution, I always make sure that I've turned off, activate all the engines, so if I accidentally hit shift, I don't screw myself up. So we'll go to Minmus. Minmus, I visited all of the biomes in Minmus, and I've collected all of the ore. I've got scan sets, so I've scanned Minmus, and I have all of the maps for Minmus. Where's the... So I got Minmus and Moon. This is Moon, already scanned. So this is the ore map from the Moon. I can change it to a biome map. So there's the biomes on the Moon. If I hover over them, it tells that's the highlands. There's a southwest crater, there's a far side crater, northwest crater. So ScanSat is a nice mod. I hope they get it. I think they have a version of it available in KSP 2 now. But this one's really nice. So I have a couple of scan satellites up. I've got everything. Got everything hidden. If I turn on all of my probes here, as you can see. Okay, so the ScanSat satellites operate at different altitudes in polar orbits. So you can see I've got all of these polar orbits are ScanSats of some sort. This is a contract to do a Kolnoya, which is actually Molnoya orbit. It's a Russian orbit. It's designed to keep the satellite over one area for long periods of time, because the satellite will swing up very fast. It'll get up here and it moves very slowly. It'll be up here for days, and then it swings back down and then whips back up again, and it stays up here for days. It does that. and typically it scans one half of a hemisphere, and you can guess where they put their satellite over which hemisphere. Obviously the United States, so it's got a satellite sitting above the U.S. continent, scanning everything for long periods of time. Then we have, and then I have also put in a satellite network. If I turn on all of the things, you can see I have 3 satellites in a triangular pattern, and I used a resonant, 2/3 resonant orbit to put these communications satellites. They're relays, so they have high power antennas, and anything within the this triangle here, all the ship needs is a Communitron 16, and it will get an 80% connection back to the KSC. So you put your heavy antennas on your relay satellites, and then you can put lighter antennas on your ships and relay the information from the ships. So I have full coverage of the moon back to Kerbin. Right, so there we go. And I did the same thing. So then, and I did the same thing around the moon. Got relay network set up around the moon. What did I just do? What did I just do? No. I want to focus. This is another thing. If you click on a ship, oh my lord. To it. Wow. Where does it think I am? Okay, so I didn't click on Minmus. I must have clicked on the ship here. But you can see it's the same relay network setup. So I've got a video that goes through the process of how you set up. See, there's a 3 satellite relay network around the moon. So I can any ship with a Communitron 16 can communicate back to the KSC without a direct connection. And then just to show the difference between a 2/3 relay network and a 3/4 relay network, which would be 4 satellites, if I go over to Kerbin here, you can see over Kerbin I've got 4 satellites, and I not only put them in a 3/4 resonant orbit, but I also put them at the geostationary or geostationary orbit, so they always stay over the same position on Kerbin. If I go to warp, you'll see Kerbin turning. It's having trouble. As Kerbin spins, the satellites stay over the same point. See, they're staying over the same 4 points on the planet. This is weird. I've never seen this happen before. This is too much data for it to deal with. So anyway, let's go back to. Let's go on. Let's unwarp. Okay. So there we go. That's pretty much where I am in the game right now. The remainder of the stock will be doing landings on the moon and getting more science, and then we'll start going out to the other planets. We'll start with Duna, and then we'll work from there. So I'm going to call this a stream of done. Stick a fork in it.
Quick save.
Until we get together again, everybody stay cool.